Hi, this is Cindy from Vintage to New, and I'm just going to do a really quick little embellishment tutorial. I found this really cute little jeans jacket. It's a size 18 months, so it's not very large, and it's just adorable the way it is. But I wanted to add just a little bit of embroidery embellishment, and I wanted to show you how I'm going to do it. Okay, a lot of times when you do embroidery work, you use an embroidery hoop, which is what this is, but for this particular project we're not going to use that because we're just going to work in really small areas and just do really small things. Another thing that would be really cute on this little jeans jacket is to add little lace embellishments or something like that. It would be super quick and easy, and you could hand sew those on or machine sew them. So that's another option, but today we're just going to add some embroidery. Okay, embroidery is done with what's called floss. When you go to your craft store, you find embroidery floss, and it comes in a skein. This is called a skein. So you find the end and you just pull out what you want, and you don't want a really long piece. You probably want maybe just a little bit between 12 and 18 inches would be the longest that you would want, and then you cut it. Okay, and after you've cut your embroidery floss, you'll notice that it comes with 6 little pieces kind of twined together. So you can separate it out and you can see that there's 6 pieces there. You can use 1 piece, 2 pieces, whatever you want. I would say an average embroiderer most of the time uses 3 pieces. That's just kind of a standard, but I've seen it all the way down from 1 to all 6 pieces. If you use all 6 pieces and you just keep pulling it apart like this, it's really chunky. And so for this particular project, I didn't want it that chunky. So this is 3 pieces of the embroidery floss. Now you can purchase what they call embroidery needles, and they're really nice, but if you don't have any embroidery needles, the most important thing is you have to have a big enough eye that all 3 of those pieces can go through. So that's where we are. So now we're ready to get started. Okay, the next thing you need to do is find something that can mark on your fabric. And if you're going to mark your fabric, it's best if you use something that can wash out. On darker fabrics, it's always harder. So even if you can find a piece of chalk or a chalk pencil, sometimes that works really great on something dark. I happen to have an erasable quilt pencil that's in a bright yellow, so that's what I'm going to use today. So, and once you've embroidered for a long time, you might not even need to do this for the little lazy daisy stitch that I'm going to show you. I want to do a daisy right in the corner of this collar, so I'm going to make my center mark. Okay, there's my center of my daisy, and you want to have 5 dots around the outside of your center. Lazy daisy stitches look best with 5 petals. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you just want to have the dots going around the center. So here's my center dot with 5 dots going out around the edge. Okay, you can see those little dots. Now, because this is a finished garment already, I don't want to have knots and stuff on the back here, so I'm just going to work on the top piece of the fabric here. So to get my knot started, I'm going to start back here, and I'm going to just go in between. I'm running the needle in between those 2 layers of fabric. I'm going to come out here at the center. I'm going to pull my thread so that it comes inside. So see, it's down inside those 2 layers right there. And I'm going to just do one little catch right there. All right, so basically I have a nice long tail stuck in between the 2 pieces of the collar. Now, if you didn't want to do that, or you're not comfortable doing that, you can just make a knot and have the knot on the back. Okay, so now watch my first little piece of the daisy that I'm going to do. I pulled my thread up. I'm going to hold it with this hand over here. I'm going to put my needle back in right where I started, and I'm going to come out right on that dot that I made, and I'm going to pull it up. See how easy that is? And there's my first little lazy daisy petal. So I'm going to go right back down on the other side of the thread, pull my needle out right in the center again, And there's my first petal. So let's do that again. So we're going to put it off to the side. We're going to come to the center. Going to go right out on that dot that we made. We're going to pull it so it comes up like that. And you don't want to pull it super tight. You want your petal to be nice and round. I'm going to come right back out the center again. I'm going to loop it over. I'm going to come over to my other dot, which will come out in the center right there on that other dot. And I'm going to pull it. All right, and it's easier if you keep turning your garment instead of trying to do it upside down. All right, so I'm going to go right back in and I'm staying off of the back. I'm just running it right down in between those two pieces of fabric. Back out the center. Out my last dot over here. So I'm going to do that for this dot and this dot, and I'll be right back. Okay, just did my last little petal over here. I pulled it back out in the center. So I'm going to do just a pull through in the center and a knot here on the top to kind of hold it tight. And then I'm going to run it down between those two pieces of fabric again, way over here. See, I'm not coming through on the back. And then when I get over to there, I'm going to clip my thread very close to my fabric and then pull it in, and so now it's lost inside there. So there's my little daisy to start. Okay, I've switched over to yellow thread. I did the same thing, it's just 3 strands. Now I'm going to start back here again, way back. I'm going to come up and out, pulling in my yellow thread until it comes in to the collar right there. I'm going to do just a little stitch to kind of catch it. All right, so now what I'm going to show you is called a French knot, and this lazy daisy and the French knot you'll use forever once you start embroidering. It's really simple. You're going to take your needle and you're going to lay it close to the garment or whatever you're embroidering, and you're going to wrap the thread around it 3 times, and you're going to keep it close to the garment, and then you're going to come down. And because I don't want to go through to the back, I'm going to go down and back up where I want my second one to be. So that's a little tricky for a beginner, but so I have it wrapped around 3 times. I've gone down through just this first layer of fabric, and I'm coming back up, and you're just going to pull it through. And what you do is you end up with this cute little knot right there. Now, in design, it's always best if you use odd numbers. So that's why you want 5 little petals going around. I'm going to do 3 French knots here in the center. So I did 1. Okay, I'm going to do another one. So 1, 2, 3 times around. It's down really close to the fabric. Let me do it again. I got sidetracked. 1, 2, 3 times around. Pull it down close to the fabric. All right. So I don't have a ton of thread there in the way. Go down and in and come back up where I want my 3rd little knot to be. Okay. So there's 2. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Down. And I want it just to come up in the center again. All right. So 3 wraps around, coming back up. All right, so that looks really good. So now I'm just going to do one more little stretch down, do one little tie off like that, and then I'm just going to run my thread through between those 2 pieces of fabric, you know, a couple inches over, and cut it off. And then pull that down inside. So there's that. So now the only thing I have left to do is I'm going to put a couple little leaves on there, and so I'll be right back with my green thread. Okay, and just a word on the colors that I chose. This is a really dark background, so I chose the white for the daisy, of course. I chose a really bright yellow for the center, and then I chose a brighter green for the leaves, just because I didn't want a super dark green. So we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to start back here, just kind of fishing it through between those two pieces of fabric. And if you notice my daisy, I kind of have a little bit of a gap on this side right here. So that's where I decided I want to put my leaf. So I'm going to come in. So we're doing everything just like we did when we started. All right. And now I'm just going to do another lazy daisy stitch, but I'm going to make it a little longer and a little skinnier to make a nice little leaf. So I'm going to pull this one a little tighter. So there's that one. And then I always like to do one across the way from it. So I'm going to come down so it's a little longer than the petals, a little skinnier, just pulled it a little tighter. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come back up in the center here. I'm going to do one little stitch. And the only reason I'm doing it this way is because I don't want it to show on the back. All right. So this is kind of a tutorial for doing already prepared clothes. So there's that. Cut it off. And so here's my cute little daisy for this collar. So now I'm going to do one on the other collar and see what else I want to do. Okay, so you can see the two little daisies here on the collar. Now you could put little daisies kind of all over. You could put one here or both, whatever you would like to do. I just remember when I was a teenager, we would spend hours embroidering elaborately on jeans jackets and work shirts. And so it's just a little flash from the past to add a little bit of embroidery to this little jacket. So from Cindy from Vintage to New, until next time, thanks for watching.